The World's Finest Mystery and Crime Stories, First Annual Collection, edited by Ed Gorman, Volume 2. Copyright 2000 by Techno Books and Ed Gorman. This full-length reading was published by arrangement with Tom Doherty Associates, LLC, and was produced in 2001 by Books on Tape Incorporated, which holds the copyright thereto. Should you have any questions about this recording, please call the customer service number shown on the package for information or assistance. The World's Finest Mystery and Crime Stories, First Annual Collection. Jeffrey Deaver, for services rendered. HBO made a very good original movie from Jeffrey Deaver's A Maiden's Grave, which became one more sign that Deaver's new authority as a writer is a given in mystery fiction. He's a bestseller who writes thoughtful, powerful novels in a serious but always entertaining way. There are some critics who believe that his short fiction is even better. He writes in virtually every mystery subgenre in his shorter pieces and imbues each one with his own special take on contemporary life. This story first appeared in the November issue of Ellery Queen's Mystery Magazine. Here is Jeffrey Deaver's For Services Rendered, read by J. Paul Boehmer.
At first I thought it was me, but now I know for sure. My husband's trying to drive me crazy. Dr. Harry Bernstein nodded, and after a moment's pause, dutifully noted his patient's words on the steno-pad resting on his lap. I don't mean he's irritating me, driving me crazy that way. I mean he's making me question my sanity, and he's doing it on purpose. Patsy Randolph, facing away from Harry on his leather couch, turned to look at her psychiatrist. Even though he kept his Park Avenue office quite dark during his sessions, he could see that there were tears in her eyes. "You're very upset," he said in a kind tone. "Sure I'm upset," she said. "And I'm scared." This woman, in her late 40s, had been his patient for 2 months. She'd been close to tears several times during their sessions, but had never actually cried. Tears are important barometers of emotional weather. Some patients go for years without crying in front of their doctors, and when the eyes begin to water, any competent therapist sits up and takes notice. Harry studied Patsy closely as she turned away again and picked at a button on the cushion beside her. "Go on," he encouraged. "Tell me about it." She snagged a Kleenex from the box beside the couch, dabbed at her eyes, but she did so carefully. As always, she wore impeccable makeup. "Please," Harry said in a soft voice. "It's happened a couple of times now," she began reluctantly. "Last night was the worst. I was lying in bed, and I heard this voice. I couldn't really hear it clearly at first, and then it said—" She hesitated. "It said it was my father's ghost." Motifs in therapy didn't get any better than this, and Harry paid close attention. "You weren't dreaming?" "No. I was awake. I couldn't sleep, and I'd gotten up for a glass of water. Then I started walking around the apartment, just pacing. I felt frantic. I lay back in bed, and the voice, Pete's voice, said that it was my father's ghost."
"What did he say?"
"He just rambled on, telling me about all kinds of things from my past, incidents from when I was a girl. I'm not sure. It was hard to hear."
"And these were things your husband knew?"
"The voice sounded sort of like Peter's. Anyway, who else would it be?"
She laughed,
her voice nearly a cackle. "I mean, it could hardly be my father's ghost, now could it?" Maybe he was just talking in his sleep. She didn't respond for a minute. "See, that's the thing. He wasn't in bed. He was in the den playing some video game." Harry continued to take his notes. "And you heard him from the den?" "He must have been at the door. Oh, Doctor, I know it sounds ridiculous. I know it does. But I think he was kneeling at the door. It's right next to the bedroom, and was whispering." "Did you go into the den? Did you ask him about it?" "I walked to the door real fast, but by the time I opened it, he was back at the desk." She looked at her hands and found she'd shredded the Kleenex. She glanced at Harry to see if he'd noticed the compulsive behavior, which of course he had, and then stuffed the tissue into the pocket of her expensive beige slacks. "And then?" "I asked him if he'd heard anything, any voices, and he looked at me like I was nuts and went back to his game." "And that night you didn't hear any more voices?" "No." Harry studied his patient. She'd been a pretty girl in her youth, Harry supposed, because she was a pretty woman now. Her face was sleek, and she had the slightly upturned nose of a Connecticut socialite who debates long and hard about having rhinoplasty, but never does. He recalled that Patsy'd told him her weight was never a problem. She'd hire a personal trainer whenever she gained 5 pounds. She'd said, with irritation masking secret pride, that men often tried to pick her up in bars and coffee shops. He asked, "You say this has happened before? Hearing the voice?" Another hesitation. "Maybe 2 or 3 times, all within the past couple of weeks." But why would Harry want to drive you crazy? Patsy, who'd come to Harry presenting with the classic symptoms of a routine midlife crisis, hadn't discussed her husband much yet. Harry knew he was good-looking, a few years younger than Patsy, not particularly ambitious. They'd been married for 3 years, second marriages for both of them, and they didn't seem to have many interests in common. But of course, that was just Patsy's version. The facts that are revealed in a therapist's office can be very fishy. Harry Bernstein worked very hard to be a human lie detector, and his impression of the marriage was that there was much unspoken conflict between husband and wife. Patsy considered his question. "I don't know. I was talking to Sally." Harry remembered her mentioning Sally, her best friend. She was another Upper East Side matron, one of the ladies who lunch, and was married to the president of one of the biggest banks in New York. "She said that maybe Peter's jealous of me. I mean, look at us. I'm the one with the social life. I have the friends. I have the money." He noticed a manic edge to her voice. She did too, and controlled it. "I just don't know why he's doing it. But he is." "Have you talked to him about this?" "I tried. But naturally he denies everything." She shook her head and tears welled in her eyes again. "And then, the birds." "Birds?" Another Kleenex was snagged, used, and shredded. She didn't hide the evidence this time. "I have this collection of ceramic birds, made by Bohm. Do you know about the company?" "No." "They're very expensive. They're German, beautifully made. They were my parents. When our father died, Steve and I split the inheritance, but he got most of the personal family heirlooms. That really hurt me. But I did get the birds." Harry knew that her mother had died 10 years ago, and her father about 3 years ago. The man had been very stern and had favored Patsy's older brother, Stephen. He was patronizing to her.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?